GMs have us wondering what in the world is going through their minds when they close those deals.
I can tell you the Ravens spoke to Trey Hendrickson yesterday while Max Crosby was in the building.
So with that, let's dive into the 10 worst NFL offseason moves of 2026 so far. The Ravens' Max Crosby saga. For the Baltimore Ravens, the Max Crosby saga should have been very simple. Either make the trade or don't. They went about this in the worst way possible. Days before the official new league year began, the Ravens reached an agreement on a blockbuster trade with the Las Vegas Raiders. Baltimore was to receive the superstar defensive end in exchange for 2 first-round picks. But before the trade could become official, the Ravens changed their minds and nixed the trade after Crosby failed a physical. And just like that, the disgruntled 5-time Pro Bowler was headed back to Sin City. They also reportedly kept Crosby in their facility for 8 hours before telling him that they weren't trading for him after all. Yes, Baltimore got to keep its 2 first-round picks and snagged top free agent Trey Hendrickson on a 4-year deal, but Crosby is a far better player than Hendrickson, especially on run defense. GM Eric DeCosta has burned a ton of bridges here, and he's gonna have a heck of a time doing business going forward. Just an all-around terrible look for the Ravens. And in hindsight, they should have just never negotiated this trade in the first place. Patriots release Stefon Diggs. Make no mistake, the Romeo Doubs signing was a tiny piece of work by the defending AFC champions. But this New England Patriots offense would look a whole lot scarier with a tandem of Doubs and Diggs. A month after helping them to a Super Bowl 60 appearance, Diggs was released by the Patriots with 2 years remaining on his contract. New England saved about $16.8 million by releasing the 4-time Pro Bowler. But Diggs was New England's only productive receiver last year, catching 85 passes for 1,013 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now they're asking Doubs to replace a consistent 1,000-yard weapon, even though the former himself has never hit the 800-yard mark. If New England could have signed another stud free agent receiver, we would have understood the logic to cut ties with Diggs. But they just swapped him out for a less productive Doubs, which isn't the type of move a Super Bowl contender should really be making. And sign Overpay for $100 million. Who the heck exactly were they bidding against here? After a strong finish to the 2025 season with the Los Angeles Chargers, Owe agreed to a 4-year deal with Washington worth $100 million. Owe had a career-high 10 sacks in 2024. After getting sent to the Chargers ahead of the 2025 trade deadline, he registered 7.5 sacks in 12 games. Owe is the model of inconsistency. The Commanders are paying him to take his career to a whole nother level though, in a completely different defensive scheme under rookie DC Durante Jones. I don't see this going well. Colts overpay to keep Alec Pierce. There are certainly some Indianapolis Colts fans who will disagree with our take here, but man, it just feels like GM Chris Ballard got way too reckless in the early stages of free agency. Everyone knew that one half of their stud wideout tandem, Alec Pierce or Michael Pittman Jr., would have to go. The Colts chose to keep Pierce and gave him a 4-year deal worth $116 million, the richest free agent deal ever for a wide receiver. Then Indy traded Pittman Jr. to the Pittsburgh Steelers, with the two teams also swapping late-round picks. And despite safely issuing the transition tag to quarterback Daniel Jones, the Colts gave him a 2-year extension worth $88 million. The main issue here is just cap management. Why did Chris Ballard pay that much money to Pierce when he's had one good season? And are the Colts sure that he's going to repeat a 2025 campaign in which he caught 47 passes for 1,003 yards and 6 touchdowns? Sure not happening if Jones proves to be a one-hit wonder. Saints make unnecessary splash for Travis Etienne Jr. If the New Orleans Saints were actual contenders, we'd kind of understand this move. But it's always difficult to comprehend when a rebuilding team spends unnecessary amounts of cash on a luxury player that really won't move the needle that much. New Orleans signed Etienne to a 4-year deal worth $52 million in free agency. We know Alvin Kamara is past his prime, but he's still a serviceable weapon in the backfield. The 2021 first-round pick ran behind one of the league's best run-blocking offensive lines. Opposing defenses also had to respect a passing game that meant plenty of holes for Etienne to exploit, both in the rushing and receiving games. He goes to a New Orleans team with a weak run-blocking unit. Tyler Shuck showed some promise in his rookie year, but man, he is no T-Law. If GM Mickey Loomis wanted to spend, why didn't he address the O-line, receiver, or quarterback rooms? Etienne is a luxury, not a necessity, on a team that's a while away from returning to contention. Bills overpay big time for Bradley Chubb. Buffalo Bills GM Brandon Beane started out his offseason pretty nicely by making a blockbuster trade for Chicago Bears star wideout DJ Moore. If only Beane had used that same level of genius in free agency. Beane's biggest move in the early days of free agency was to pay veteran edge rusher Bradley Chubb $43.5 million over 3 years. This is a guy with a tremendously long injury history, having missed the entire 2024 season, 10 games in 2021, and 12 back in 2019. Chubb has also only recorded double-digit sacks once since the 2019 season. He had 8.5 for the Miami Dolphins last year. How did it work when Buffalo signed oft-injured defensive end Joey Bosa again? Beane has done very little to fix a defense that seems to get worse every single year. His biggest move was overpaying for a guy with inconsistent production and a long injury history. You'd think that Beane would have done more after somehow winning a power struggle over Sean McDermott. Broncos release Dre Greenlaw. Last year, the Broncos signed the San Francisco 49ers star do-it-all linebacker to a 3-year deal worth $31.5 million. Greenlaw played only 8 games in his first season with the Broncos due to injuries, not to mention his 1-game suspension, but still, he was a difference maker with an interception, 2 pass breakups, a forced fumble, and 1 sack. His efforts helped the Broncos reach the AFC Championship game, where they nearly lost to the New England Patriots without Bo Nix. When you're that close to a Super Bowl, the goal should always be to keep the band together. But in an early offseason stunner, the Broncos released Greenlaw after just 1 season. All of that to save $8.19 million in free agency. Greenlaw returned to the 49ers on a 1-year deal. The Broncos defense is now devoid of a game-wrecking linebacker who proved to be a valuable fit in Vance Joseph's defense. Lions cut Taylor Decker. The Detroit Lions offensive line was one of the NFL's premier position groups from 2021 to 2024. But boy, did that unit take a major step back in 2025 after 4-time Pro Bowler center Frank Ragnow stunned everybody by announcing his retirement at age 29. In a totally mind-numbing move, the Lions released fan favorite and Pro Bowl offensive tackle Taylor Decker at the start of free agency. That saved them $11.6 million against the cap, but also left another mega void at tackle. So Penei Sewell is the last actual stud remaining on Detroit's offensive line. Teams in win-now mode should not be cutting their best players without lining up an adequate replacement. You just can't help but get the same old Lions feel with this move. Packers give away Rashawn Gary to Cowboys. We've got a lot of problems with this transaction from a Green Bay Packers perspective. It wasn't a shocker when they traded Gary, who was never going to return unless he agreed to a massive pay cut. But giving him away to a heated rival like the Dallas Cowboys for the low price of a 2027 4th-round pick is an interesting option. Not only did Green Bay help out one of their biggest NFC foes here, but they also created another roster weakness, all to save just $10.98 million against the cap. Micah Parsons led the team with 12.5 sacks last year. He's also currently recovering from a torn ACL that he suffered in December. So who knows what condition he'll actually be in. Gary was second with 7.5 sacks. Quay Walker, who was 4th, just signed with the Raiders. So that is a whole lot of question marks on Green Bay's front 7 now. The Titans' free agency spending spree. When you are in rebuilding mode but have bundles of cap space, why not spend some of it like there's no tomorrow? The New England Patriots did that last year, and it led to a surprise Super Bowl appearance. Thing is, the Patriots knew they were getting good players when they brought in guys like Stefon Diggs, Milton Williams, Carlton Davis, Harold Landry, and Morgan Moses. The Titans just threw a lot of money at some average players. Their biggest move was signing ex-New York Giants wideout Wan'Dale Robinson to a 4-year deal worth $72 million. Yes, he caught 92 passes for 1,014 yards and 4 touchdowns, but he was also targeted a ridiculous 140 times. And yeah, his stats would have been much worse if Malik Neighbors didn't tear his ACL in week 4. Remember how that Calvin Ridley contract is panned out? Tennessee is staring at a similar issue here with Robinson. The 3-year, $63 million deal for John Franklin Myers was fair for a guy with 14.5 sacks over his last 2 seasons, but $103 million combined to cornerbacks Alontae Taylor and Cordell Flott? Big money for guys who finish as the 44th and 54th ranked cornerbacks by Pro Football Focus in 2025 respectively. Taylor has also yielded a 91.8 passer rating when targeted for his career, so yeah, good luck with that, Tennessee. Even that 3-year, $24 million deal to ex-Giants tight end Daniel Bellinger is funny for a guy who's never topped 30 catches or 268 yards in the season. Oh, these Titans. good luck with whatever the heck you're doing. But hey, what do you think will go down as the worst move of the 2026 NFL offseason? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.